April 27th, 1813. The Battle of York. On April 27th, 1813, the United States Army and Navy attacked the Canadian city of York and defeated the British and Canadian forces defending the city during the War of 1812. They later burned it to the ground. The city was under the command of British General Roger Sheaffe, who was a loyalist from Boston. He had 300 soldiers stationed in the city. Anais Shaw, the Canadian commander of the local militia, had 300 defenders with 50 native Canadian warriors from a nearby tribe. The United States Army, which was under the command of Generals Henry Dearborn and Zebulon Pike, brought over 1,700 troops in for their attack on York. They were supported by the United States Navy, led by Commodore Isaac Chauncey, who brought 14 heavily armed ships in to regain control of the Great Lakes. The Canadian defenders dug in to prepare for an American invasion due to the city of York not being well fortified and only a series of small blockhouses acting as defense towers for the local militia. The British soldiers were stationed inside Fort York, an old Revolutionary War-era fortress. General Sheaffe ordered all important papers and documents to be hidden in the forest and fields in the back of the city for safekeeping. The defense batteries were set up near the blockhouses, which were made up of obsolete cannons which had to be put back into action with crudely made trunnions. The old ones were either tossed out after the Revolutionary War or just rotted away. In the early morning of April 27th, the American soldiers landed on the shore of York in small boats that came from the ships that were anchored off the coast. They were fired upon by native warriors. The British and Canadian soldiers were unable to return fire upon the U.S. Army because they were in the firing range of being blasted by the cannons from the anchored ships. General Sheaffe ordered a company of soldiers from the fort to support the warriors, but they got lost in the nearby woods. The U.S. Navy ships bombarded the city's 4 batteries into submission while the American soldiers continued to land near York and march towards the city. The British Army rallied around Fort York as the American soldiers marched towards it as the defenders made one last stand, but by 1 o'clock p.m., General Sheaffe made the decision to abandon the fort but left the flag still flying to act as a distraction while they rigged the ammunition storage to explode before retreating into the forest. The American soldiers, led by General Zebulon Pike, approached Fort York when the U.S. naval ships began to bombard it. The booby-trapped ammunition room exploded, killing the general and 37 soldiers. A captain of the Canadian militia, John Robinson, formally surrendered the city of York after the British Army retreated. A couple of days after the surrender, the angry United States Army soldiers began to loot the city and burn down several buildings, including the Legislative Building of the Upper Canadian Parliament, the local printing office, and what was left of Fort York, along with many homes and businesses that were burned to the ground after they were sacked. General Dearborn was embarrassed by the looting and burning of York, especially after the Canadians formally surrendered the city and agreed to their demands. The burning of York and several other Canadian cities near the American border would lead to the decision that the British Army would burn down Washington, D.C. a little over a year later.